most artists are in one of two spots. Most artists and creative people are either one of these two things. Number one, they either hate everything they do or they think everything they do is awesome. And we need a culture of encouragement so that we can deal with people who hate everything they do and think everything they do is awesome. The people who hate everything they do, they're just really wounded. And so it's a defense mechanism. And so what they're really saying is, I'm just going to go ahead and pre-hate that for you so you can't hate it. You ever met those people? Yeah. I'm just, this is terrible. I'm awful. It's the worst song ever. I'm an idiot. I'll just go ahead and put it out there so you can't say it about me. Just going to pre-hate that for you. You know what brings down the pre-haters? Just to slide around them, put your arm around them every single Sunday. Tell them, I don't care. I think you're great. I had a pre-hater on my worship band. She was supremely talented, profoundly insecure. And the Lord told me, give her a hug every time you see her. And I'm not a huggy person. It's just not who I am. Some of you all are huggers. I'm not. I'm like, man, gotta hug somebody every time I see them. So I hugged this young lady every time I met her for 2 years. And she got healed. It wasn't anything big. It was just, I think you're great. I bet I told her, I think you're great no less than 1,000 times. Even when she obviously wasn't great. And then there's the other people who everything they think they do is awesome, you know? Everything they do, they just think it's awesome. Awesome. What do you do with those people? Actually, I think those people are easier. Here's why. God will deal with them. You don't have to do anything. God will deal with the person who thinks everything they do is awesome. Trust me. All you really have to do is just move out of the way a little bit. Just one of those. Yeah, I actually think they're easier to deal with than the I hate everything I do. Because God will deal with them. Just give them a little room. Somebody's having a ball. I think a fire tunnel just broke out somewhere. What? Mm-hmm. Number 5, we need to cultivate our culture. And cultivation is all about submission to discipleship. This is the part in the process where we pull the weeds, where we train people and we prune and we discipline. The bad stuff needs pulled and the good stuff needs trained. And by the way, this only happens in a culture of trust. This is so critical, but it only happens in a culture of trust. You have to love something. You have to love something before you have the authority to really lead. Because the truth is, I'm only able to speak into someone's life to the degree that they give me permission to speak into their life. And they're never going to give me permission to speak in their life until they know that I love them. So as leaders, this is about really loving people, even really people who are really weak. Creative culture starts with pastors and leaders who love weak people. Because when you love them, you win trust. And when you win trust, now we can begin to pull weeds and train the vine, do a little pruning. Cultivation is about pressing for better. Cultivation is about asking your songwriters to rewrite a lyric. Cultivation is about asking your artists to rethink a concept. Cultivation is about developing a trellis system for the crop you want to grow. I shared some of this with you guys yesterday in the songwriting talk. But my family and I, we have 13 acres of wine grapes, and we have a winery. And one of the most essential components of this vineyard is the trellis system. If we didn't have a trellis system, we would just have 13 acres of vines that were laying on the ground, and the clusters would form every year, and then the bugs would eat them, and the things that the bugs didn't eat would rot. So what is cultivation about? It's about producing a trellis system that raises people up, gets them off the ground, and gets their canopy into the sunshine where something amazing can happen. And it's also about pruning. It's about going in and saying, we're going to cut some of this off. I think this is something that needs to go in your life. It's also, for artists and musicians, cultivation is about getting a little inner healing and getting over your daddy issues. And some of you think, well, I don't have any daddy issues. That's a joke. You got daddy issues. It's time to get over them. If you see a white boy with an acoustic guitar who's singing, that's a person with daddy issues. How do I know? Because I've met too many. You need to let somebody pray for you. You need to work through some of your stuff so that the fruit that's in your life is coming from a place of love for the Lord rather than needing affirmation. Or, man, I tell you what, if you are embracing a creative call coming from a place of needing affirmation, like really it will ruin you. It's a bottomless pit. It will never go away. It will just never go away. You got to have that place filled with Jesus. Somehow, some way. Here's the reason that we need cultivation. The reason we need it is because when you produce a culture like we've been talking about this morning, where we're giving people permission and we're giving them a vision for what's possible and we're taking them to see great things, one of the things that's going to happen is that everything is going to grow. Everything is going to grow, the good and the bad. And we need some way to begin to deal with the bad and to manage the good. At our church, when we started really pressing in for songwriting, everything just exploded. We got great songs and angry hearts all at the same time. So we're about 15 years into developing a creative culture at my church, and it took us 10 years to develop trust and true brotherhood among the songwriters and the musicians and the worship people so that people really, really knew that no one was out to get them. It took 10 years to do that. Why? Because it's hard. Everything will grow. When you've got a good culture, when you've got a really good culture at your church, one of the ways you know you've got a good culture is not just that good things are happening, but it's the emergence of good and bad in people.